Hi, it's TK, and welcome back to Black Equity Talk. Here we discuss topics and issues related to improving the health and the wealth of the Black community. Today, we are going to discuss a very serious, important topic, human trafficking. And of course, human trafficking doesn't just affect Black people, it affects all people. So please share this with anyone you know who may be interested or may need to hear the information in today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I will be discussing this very important topic with Harriet Westmore, who is a correctional officer in Ohio. And she also does work with nonprofit agencies dealing with this very issue. Hi, Harriet. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Thank you so much for coming today. Can you give a little bit of background about who you are and what you're passionate about?
Sure. My background is actually in law enforcement. I am a state parole officer for the state of Ohio, and I'm passionate about helping those who are underserved, particularly women who've been abused physically, sexually, mentally. I do have a mental health background, master's in forensic psychology. So I just have a passion for helping those who can't or just cannot go or in the system who needs that help to be guided, and have it be advocate for justice, basically.
Yes, that's awesome. So those more vulnerable populations, you like to be an advocate for those.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So today you came here to discuss a very important topic with me, and that is human trafficking. And human trafficking, I just want to give you a little bit of statistics about it. There are 15,222 female victims and 3,003 male victims. This is 2019 numbers.
Mhm.
And the rest of the victims, it's unknown their gender. And this is also just in the United States as well.
Mhm.
US citizens account for 1,300 cases, and foreign nationals account for 4,600 cases. And there are 16,000 cases that are unknown what their legal status is.
Mhm.
Um, there are different types of human trafficking, and they include sex trafficking as well as labor trafficking. So sex trafficking, we're going to get into that a little bit further into the episode, but that's including escorting services, pornography, illicit massage, and then labor trafficking includes domestic work, agricultural and animal work, and also traveling sales. So that is just a little bit of background about what human trafficking is and how it looks currently in the United States. Again, this is based on 2019 statistics. So, can you start by giving us a definition of human trafficking?
Basically, human trafficking is transporting one from one place, a human from one place to another for various services. Um, I would say, particularly in places where it's easy access to interstates. Like I mentioned before, I live in Ohio, and in Ohio we have a lot of interstate interchanges. So it's easy to move persons from one place to another through by way of interstate. So that's basically the gist of human trafficking is the actual constant movement from one place to another.
Yes, and that is absolutely a great point. I remember seeing the map of the areas that have the most trafficking, and it was in, of course, Ohio, the heart of it all. So
Right.
all
Yes.
of the different access to every areas, including New York and Florida and California. So definitely that's an important point that you brought up. What
Exactly.
what would you say is something that we can notice, like if we are out and about and we see something that, you know, we may think something is up, but what are some signs that we can look for?
Great question. We all go to hair salons. Um, Hair salons are very human traffic oriented. And one of the things that you would look at as a client just sitting there, if you see an older female bringing in a younger female in to have her hair service, and the younger female, a teenager, usually a young girl or a teenager, she would not engage. In other words, she'll have her head down most of the time, and the older female would be talking and be more engaging. The girl wouldn't say anything. So she looks, she'll be quiet, she'll sit there and just look, timid. Those are actually definite signs. You go to nail salons. Nail salons, again, a lot of the workers who are not engaging, they don't look at you, they keep their eye, doing their work without any kind of engagement. Of course, massage parlors, those are always notorious for human type of labor traffic or even sex trafficking, because there's a lot of illicit type activities that goes on in massage parlors. So just be mindful of the person's demeanor. If they look scared, if even if you do try to talk to them and if they don't really say anything or just actually one word sentence, she looks afraid. Or if there's someone that's hovering over that person most of the time and they answer or talk for them, those are actual signs.
Wow, interesting. I just wanted to make clear that there are sex workers who are not being trafficked, but there are some that are being trafficked. So trafficking is specifically talking about those individuals who are doing it against their will. Is that correct? Or
That's
is
correct.
okay.
Right. If you're coerced or forced or threatened, that's that's traffic. Sex workers are they're out there eliciting sex by choice. Um, with consensual consent by both parties.
So if we're in a salon and we notice something that doesn't quite seem right, I know it's not in most people's nature to intervene and to say
Right.
anything. So what exactly can someone do who is a little bit suspicious, but of course, who can they call to kind of look further into the situation?
Yes, you could call your local law enforcement. A lot of the now the law enforcement agencies are now they're being trained, which I will talk about later on. Um, so at least give them information, a tip, and they have a task force. I know a lot of county jurisdictions, sheriff's offices, they have task force, and they can ultimately at least keep an eye on that particular establishment.
Okay.
And if you go regular, you could you could definitely see what's going on as a
Yeah,
regular client. So
true, true. There was also a statistic that I read that most individuals who are trafficked are recruited by people that they know. So a family member or intimate partner, a spouse. So sometimes that's even more of a deterrent. Most people are not going to, intervene in that because that's like, oh, that's their family problem. So we're not going to deal with it, or we don't want to bring law enforcement into it. It's breaking up the family. So do you what do you say to those people? And is there something to give them kind of ease their mind about helping that particular individual?
I would say, it takes a village. We have to make, we have to be a collective community. It's no more gone the days of, whatever goes on in this house stays in this house. We have to lose that mentality because human trafficking is everywhere. It is even in churches.
Mm,
A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but there's a lot of situations where pastors, so-called pastors, were even a part of a human trafficking ring. Matter of fact, there was a big major ring here in out here in Ohio, in Toledo, where there were three pastors that were indicted for human trafficking. So I you have to get away from that mindset that I shouldn't say anything as family members. I mean, we have to, I mean, this is a societal problem, and and not saying anything is being detrimental to the victims.
Hmm.
So even if it's you could call the local, if you don't want to call it your local law enforcement, the county human services, uh, that would be another option. Um, but there, every community has some type of human service, social service agency. So, I mean, I would implore everybody to just, we have to speak up because it's going to keep going on, and you'll be surprised it's happening right under our noses. There's no socioeconomic background you have to be in. It happens across the board to anyone.
Yeah, that's a good point that you brought up about social economic status. And for instance, and I know this is maybe a stereotype, but if someone
Mhm.
is working, so they're being labor trafficked, and their alternative is a situation that may not be better than where they are now. Um, are there any programs or services that kind of can help them or individuals kind of get on the right track to get out of that situation?
For instance, if they are here as immigrants, let's say India, China, there's Department of Immigration Services. Usually that's through, I know here in Ohio, we have like Catholic Charities. It is an association that also has a department for immigration that help refugees that comes here, and then they find that they're being trafficked there. They provide services to get away from that situation and to kind of get them settled and get on their feet. So I would like, again, it goes, what type of human services or social services agency you have in your area.
Right. So would some agency like that, would they call immigration and have that person deported? Would they have to go back to their country?
No, for that particular agency, they help them to stay here. They help. They have immigration attorneys on staff that helps them to get visas, to be here legally and to help them establish here in the U.S.
Can you tell us about some of the things that you've done personally in this field? Give us a little
Sure.
background.
Well, actually, I right now I work, like I said, I work full time as a parole officer, but I also am working with an organization called Traffic Lives Matter. Goes hand in hand, and that's a wonderful organization. It's kind of grassroots, but the person who's running it, she is phenomenal. She has basically matter of fact, I'm just thinking back. We just rescued a young lady from her trafficker within like a month ago, and so it's basically going out and helping those who are trafficked who seeking help to get away from their trafficker, and then we provide shelter and things of that nature. So right now what we're doing is trying to develop a curriculum to train law enforcement personnel, and I'm going to be a part of that piece.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So you are training law enforcement to identify and to respond and deal with
Exactly.
okay, so that's really needed, I'm sure.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. Do you have any specific stories that kind of stand out to you? I know you have to respect confidentiality, but if there's like general things you can say.
Uh, yeah, actually, we had a situation several years ago. Like I said, Ohio is one of the top uh,
Yeah.
states as far as trafficking, where we had a Mexican restaurant. And in this restaurant, there was a lot of labor trafficking going on. This one particular individual, a young man, um, eh, we again noticing the signs of you come as a go to that establish a lot, and you see the same person all the time. Anytime you go, you see these same workers all the time. Usually if you go to the staff, a restaurant or something, you at least see different, changing, different shifts, but
Right.
they're there all the time. And then, you start to build a rapport with that particular individual, and then come to find out, you notice that something wasn't right. And so the organization that was here, they were able to actually get that establishment closed down through local law enforcement, and we was able to get that young man out of that sector.
Wow. That just reminds me, years and years ago, I worked at a fast food restaurant. I was in college. And just like you said, like now I'm thinking, wow, that person may have been a victim because she was always there. And it was
Hmm.
kind of like someone said, oh, she's her twin. That's not the same person. And she didn't speak English very well. So I just
Hmm.
assumed like, oh, okay, they have different names, different tags or whatever. Maybe they
Hmm.
are twins, but I later found out that it was just one person. So that's something like, you may not even know, like these people are people that it's not someone you just see once and never see again. These are people you
Right.
have relationships with. So yeah, definitely. That just light bulb moment right there for
Wow.
me.
Wow. Yep.
Wow. Yeah. And I do recall the other story where you mentioned the in the church. That was really surprising to me. Not that I think the church is above it, but
Hmm.
it
Yeah,
was,
you would think.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
just
you would.
definitely heartbreaking to hear that
Right.
and yeah.
Right. I mean, and it's happening more and more. And it's like, you thought going to a place of worship, that's your safe haven, but actually predators are running rapid, unfortunately in these type of religious groups and in, churches.
And these predators are targeting certain groups of people who are more vulnerable. So can you
Exactly.
talk a little bit about who is most vulnerable to being trafficked?
The most vulnerable are the teenagers, the young girls. If you want labor, it will be the young boys, and those are usually those who are coming in from out of, across like Mexico or India or China or anything like that. But as far as our teenage girls, they get on uh, online to these dating sites, and that's where that's an open season for a predator to snatch them. And they're meeting someone online, and they go try to meet up with this person, and next thing you know, they're gone.
Wow.
So yeah, so and again, it's not about color, or it's about the age. um, and like you said, mentioned before, you have other friends who could recruit other,
Mhm.
teenagers recruiting other teenagers.
Yeah.
Uh, and so the most vulnerable would be the young, adolescent to teenage girls.
Yes. Wow. And also, it's not just females, but also males as well that can be
Exactly.
trafficked. What about, I'm assuming, individuals with disabilities or individuals with maybe a illegal status here in
Yes.
America? Those are also very
Those,
vulnerable
they
population.
are very vulnerable because one, they don't want to be found out that they're here illegally. So the trafficker would automatically take their passports, take all their identity once they come in, once they get them here to the US, and they're put to work. Um, the hook is always they're promised a better life in in the States.
Right.
So especially if you come from an impoverished third world type country.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, this is very tough. I kind of don't want to leave it on a bad note, but I know we should all be looking out for this, but we don't want to like live in fear because that's not a really healthy place to be. But
Right.
I have heard a lot of rumors online, and I learned some of those were actually false. Like there was one with the Wayfair. I don't know if you heard about that one of people ordering something and if it was something that was like a couple $1,000s, but it's something that wasn't worth that. And that meant they were actually buying a person instead of that product. And that turned out to not be true. But it's good
But
that,
Craig,
yeah,
I'm
that
sorry.
people
Yeah, I was at Craigslist is or back pages or notorious for, ads,
yeah, that are scam like.
that scam. Right.
Yeah. So it's very good to actually pay attention. And there's also a national human trafficking hotline. I want to give that number out as well. It should be at the bottom of the screen. And would you like to give it, or you want me to give the number?
Oh, sure. It's 1-888-373-7888. Again, that's 1-888-373-7888. And that national hotline, it will whatever they'll gather information and they will forward the information to your local, state and local agency that could be able to assist.
Excellent. There is one question that I like to ask from everybody that's on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because this show is about, I know we talk about all different types of topics, but the main purpose of the show is to teach individuals how to build wealth. So I ask this of every person on the show, what is your favorite wealth building activity?
Good question. For me, it's about developing multiple streams of income. And actually, I'm trying to absorb and learn all I can. Um, and that's, looking at how other people have succeeded. There's all kinds of skills that you could, or little small courses that you could take. A lot of them, a lot of them are just almost little to nothing. That learn how to invest. I think that's another. Invest in yourself. Invest in building a legacy for yourself and your family. That's a strategy for me, and also how to learn how to better manage your money. Again, there's all kinds of classes, small personal finance classes, how you can, open up savings or, CDs or whatever. So I those are one of the things that I'm desperately learning how to do and trying to do that to build my own wealth here instead of because you'll never get. I've always come to the conclusion you'll never be rich or wealthy by working for somebody else or making
True.
someone else rich,
Yeah.
you know.
Right. You're right about that. And if you are working for someone else, having those other streams of income, so you're not just solely
Exactly.
dependent on them. So
Exactly.
definitely awesome. Thank you so much. Is
Well, thank you.
anything else you'd like to mention about human trafficking, about your work?
Yes, if anybody is interested in wanting a further training, I know the organization that I'm working with, we do virtual Zoom trainings. I'll give you my website and I can set up a time and with the organizer, we would love to, the more that people know, the more that the knowledge is power. So
Yeah,
yes, I my website is www.more, which is my last name, Moore, selfdiscovery.com. And then you can hit me up there, and then I can, we can set something up, and we can have a training. Maybe someone who might want to train their church group or club or whatever. So we'd be more than happy to accommodate.
excellent. Thank you so much. And do you have any social media, Instagram, Facebook?
Uh, yes. You could go on my Facebook page and just look for More to Discover. I'm sorry, More Self Discovery. I have a Facebook page of that. Also, I have an Instagram, but it's for my other websites that I have. So I'm in the process of connecting my More to Discover website with the others. So, but the main point of contact is the website
Okay.
and my
Ex-
Facebook page.
Okay. So all of that information will be in the description box, and you should also see it at the bottom of your screen. So thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Please leave us a comment, a like, and share this video, and also get in touch with Harriet to learn more and get trained or train your group on human trafficking and the signs and all of that wonderful stuff, helping other people. This is definitely a community effort.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.